Is it possible for Canada's voting system to change in time for this federal election?
No, it isn't.
It wouldn't be possible.
So why is that? First, we have to look at the system that's currently in place, a term you've probably heard, first past the post. It's a system Canada's used for over 150 years. In an election, the candidate with more votes than any other candidate wins a given riding, even if they don't have a majority of the votes. The idea of changing the system, or what's called electoral reform, is not new. On one of our recent videos, a lot of you shared that you want a different way of voting in the federal election. The idea was even promised by former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in 2015. And when he stepped down, he called abandoning electoral reform his greatest regret.
I do wish that we'd been able to change the way we elect our governments in this country so that people could simply choose a second choice or a third choice on the same ballot.
Trudeau said while running for Liberal Party leader in 2013 that he was in favour of the ranked ballot system, which is how we vote for Canadian political party leaders. The other system that could be used is called proportional representation. It's used by over 90 countries around the world. And like the name suggests, it's the idea that the percentage of votes is proportional to the number of seats in the House of Commons. That can be done in a few different ways. In Ireland, they use proportional representation with a single transferable vote, where voters rank a list of candidates in order of their preference.
If a political party feels that it has a strong showing in a particular constituency, it might run two candidates. I, as a voter, not only have a choice of voting for the party that I prefer, but I can also vote for the candidate within that party that I prefer.
One voter I spoke to says he likes proportional representation because they can lead to coalition governments.
It means that people have to stop playing games and work together to get anything done. We don't need the leader of the Conservative Party or the leader of the New Democratic Party wasting their time and energy criticizing the party in power.
But it can also lead to instability as small parties can have more influence. So back to our original question, why isn't reform achievable for this upcoming election? For one, it's a pretty big change that could take years and could involve a referendum or a citizens' assembly. In New Zealand, they used a referendum on whether to change the system from first past the post in 1992.
They then changed their system and then they held a referendum on whether to keep it. And that took multiple election cycles to do.
For that to happen, the government in power needs to be on board.
We've had historical examples in the past in Canada of governments changing their voting systems. 3 provincial governments changed their voting systems from first past the post to mixed systems.
Last year, a motion in the House of Commons called on the federal government to establish a citizens' assembly on electoral reform, but that motion failed to pass. We reached out to the main political parties in Canada about their thoughts on electoral reform. The Liberal and Conservative parties did not get back to us by our deadline. The Green Party told us that they strongly believe that the first past the post system should be changed into a proportional voting system where every vote counts. We also spoke to the NDP critic for democratic reform. They specifically support mixed member proportional representation, where someone is voted in locally and regionally to better represent the parties in the House of Commons. So what are your thoughts about electoral reform?
Email us at ask@cbc.ca.